we do see Nightlight was actually able to crawl back towards the door. That means that the hatch is in play. Yvonne has to make a decision because, of course, it's outside if you take the time to close it. And I think maybe might have been seeing Dan. Hey, what it do, what it do? It's your boy Q, and welcome back to YouTube. Welcome back for some more Dead by Esports action, as today we're going to be sitting in on the Struggle of Survival Grand Final and what turned out to be the final event for DBE over on Trovo, as we will be seeing the organization now bringing live competitive DBD action to y'all over on Twitch. If you are wanting to keep up to date with what they and the Wolfpack have going on in competitive DBD, I'm going to have their links as always down in the description below. Now, heading into this grand final, we had already seen Eternal win 3 major tournaments in the upcoming weeks, and with acquisitions to what was already a strong roster, adding players such as Nightlight, you can kind of understand why. However, on the other side of the matchmaking here in the Struggle of Survival is Eternity. Now, no newcomer to comp DBD by any stretch of the means, and it does seem, as at least as of here lately, it seems every tournament we see them in, they just seem to be getting better and better. So today we'll be starting out with the Plague on the Suffocation Pit, then moving on to the Blight, onto the Blood Lodge, and then after that, the Pyramid Head on Rancid Abattoir, and the Oni on the Coal Tower. And since the grand final is a best of 5, if we need a 5th and decisive set, we will be on the staple of competitive DBD, the Nurse. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, leave a like and a comment. That helps us out with that good old YouTube algorithm. Yes, you. I promise y'all can help me spread the word about some good old comp DBD. Just help me out with that good old YouTube algorithm. You know what I mean? Hit that like, leave a comment. That's all you gotta do. Also, we're almost up to 400 subs over here on this channel. I really appreciate y'all for rocking out with y'all. Boy, make sure you check down below, smack that button, turn those notifications on. That way we can catch you right back here for the next video, whether it's comp DBD videos just like this, discussional videos, or even fun stuff like our most recent Jukes, Doofs, Laughs, and Loops. As always, I will have my personal links down in the description below as well, from my Discord as well as my stream. If you ever want to come through, loop and dupe with your boy, become part of the community. And until we catch y'all back over here on YouTube, don't forget, man, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love harder. All right, y'all, it's your boy Q, signing out. So are you telling me that right now, set number 1 in a best of 5 amongst 2 teams like this, 2 teams like Eternal and Eternity, basically you're saying set number 1 is almost a must-win sort of situation?
I would say so, yeah, because on this Plague set here, on the Suffocation Pit, it's going to set the tone really, really much. And what I like the most is that it's Zaka here for Eternal, and Zaka was a long time the killer for Team Eternity. So he's basically going against his old teammates here, so that's a side story next to this grand final here, but he does already find 2 survivors here, Ivan and Shinal, so this is going to be a rather good start with a lot of pressure here.
Yeah, you're going to be able to get the process started on 2 survivors. We did hear a sound notification cross the way. Not sure if that just happened to be someone with a quick vault or what, but we do see, as far as when you talk about kind of traditional RNG, kind of what, you know, we kind of hope to see for balance on this map, right? Kind of looks like you got your traditional 3-1-3 you tend to see here on the Suffocation. Actually, no, it looks like we might have one that's kind of more rotate up, a second more middle gen here. So if Zaka can protect these 2 gens that are currently uncovered, especially seeing as we're already going to be starting to build up stacks of that Thananophobia here as well, we could be in a very good situation.
We really could, and we have 2 survivors also broken. That's going to kick in with the Thanatophobia here, so 10% slowdown working out for Zaka. That's not going to stop the first generator here. Nancy taking a lot of time just using these boxes, and we do see that Stevie is lurking around the corner here, so you might take a hit and a little bit of distraction here. On the other hand, you are going to be sick, so that's something where you really need to check the trade-off. But now Nancy actually working her way back towards this filler pallet here. Great job, and a lot of time being taken by Zaka. I do feel like he needs to break this pallet, and he does go for it with a brutal strength here. So resources out of the way is the plan here for Team Eternal early on, but we do reach this jungle gym, and we talked about a good pressure in the early game. Eternity is really putting the pressure up now.
Yeah, Eternity's really turning up, and especially because you're spending a lot of time in this middle area, which especially against a traditional M1 killer, which you kind of are unless you're in your power here as the Plague, you have a lot at your disposal. And even though we've removed quite a few resources here, oh, nice mind game here to be able to catch the Survivor out of position. However, we see 2 gens popping off in the distance right now. Eternity really turning things up.
Really strong work on the objectives here. 2 more to go, and there's going to be the cleanse. We often talk about it, right? Difficult decision when you are going for the cleanse, where you are going for the cleanse. So it is going to be the full reset onto these 6 survivors for now. So good job done on that. In the distance, there's 1 pool by default here on the main building, and I do feel like looking on this generator setup with the 4K, with the 4 gen, the hook right here, plus the corrupt pools, that's going to be tricky for Eternity to move out.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I understand the situation as far as Zaka right now wanting to secure the 2nd stage, right? But I also feel like maybe you could get yourself a little extra value if you could even just push up just close enough to that middle gen just to get a little bit of your sickness on it, because that either forces the survivors, kind of like Claudette did, right, to either I have to start working on the gen and risk getting a little sick as time progresses, or just let the gen, kind of sit as it is. I mean, maybe even if you don't kick the gen, but just hit it from distance. But now we do see able to not catch the ace just quite yet. Is Zaka now going to be moving a little bit more towards the middle of the map? Is going to be able to get the tag here. We are at this point also have seen the 2nd stage forced onto that survivor, which means right now, but gets stuck, stupid, says the ace, knocks Zaka out of the power. You would imagine we probably have to be seeing a 2nd survivor moving in for the save, because right now this was really good play by the ace.
Really good play. And kinda what we needed right here. He does also get the save. Is going to end in a down here though, but that is going to be some hang time working out for your team. So this is now going to be Ivan with the fresh hook here. 3 stages so far. I do think that looks less than it actually is, talking about the pressure here, because great generator setup. Zaka still has a pool over here. He does manage to constantly hook the survivors here. As long as he can keep that up, he will face himself with a lot of pressure here and with a lot of value. So the challenge for Eternity is going to be to get the save and move towards the bottom. But this right here, Stevie trying to get the stun out of the power here, that was maybe a bit too greedy.
Yeah, unfortunately, and that's going to be big because we did see the unhook coming in across the way. One thing I was going to mention, I was kind of a little worried because we had seen the survivor kind of full send in for the unhook, something that we sometimes see against some of our killers where they're allowed to have the decisive strike. And by seeing it there, makes me think that maybe one of the 2 survivors that had borrowed time was our survivor that is, currently now on the ground and potentially about to be eliminated. This could be really bad for Eternity.
And we can tell they are doing a really good job here though on this box. Not this time though. This is going to be the injury, but Zaka now rotating over here, trying to get an elimination as quick as possible while with getting that hook stage in onto Adri here. So you do go for these bonus points also. You do want everyone across the board here while trying to eliminate someone as quick as possible. Not working out really though. We do have our 4 stages on, I believe, 4 different survivors here, so a good work on that. On 3, okay, Mike, my mistake there, but he does get this extra point, which is really important. But once again, he has his gen setup still, and now a bit more difficult with that mid here, but you can make that work, and he does really get these hook stages here. And Eternity is running out of pools very soon, I feel like, which would trigger the next power, and that would make saving quite impossible here.
Yeah, I think you touched on a couple of points that are really important here, because you'll even notice that even though the middle gen is one of the ones that's still up with the 3 gen, which you would think means that the 3 gen up on the top side of the map has been knocked out, still a really good spot for Zaka right now, especially because you have 1 person on a hook, you have 3 other survivors injured, so 20% slowdown currently with that Thanatophobia. Going to be getting the dry kick here, and you were talking about it. Even though we have a little bit of time left before we happen to see these doors being able to be powered. If we can find that last survivor that has yet to be hooked and get 4 stages across the board, make sure you've got all of those fresh hooks points, you're going to be feeling really good moving into the end game.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a really huge pressure juice in the open here. Really great dodge using the tree. And Small turning nothing into 3 dodges in the open. That's a sheesh from me. Great work here from Stevie, doing an insane job and taking quite some time, right? And sometimes it's just these 5 seconds that are turning your efficiency into a last generator, and we see it right here. 5 generators done. Eternity work their way out of this difficult situation here. Now we are on 6 stages, which is for now quite an impressive result, though. Even though if Stevie is dying 8 stages, I think you can take that as an opener against Eternal.
100%. And you're talking about 8 stages, and you've gotten fresh stages across the board. So it means when you're talking about that win condition, that's going to be for the killer that's coming out for Eternity here. But now actually getting Nancy down in the corner. Going to be interesting to see if Zaka actually does opt to go for the pickup right away, which I must say kind of intriguing to me, as we does, obviously going to take some time, so you're not going to be able to protect that hook across the way, but now you've got hooks across the map from one another. Really tough situation for our survivors here, especially you'll notice no Noed in play, and that's because of course we can't have that combo here, and we have yet to see that sound notification on these doors, which means we still have an additional 60 seconds before these survivors can start powering those things.
Something really important to mention. I didn't even realize that we haven't seen the notification yet, but you're right. That is 60 seconds locked in the suffocation pit with Zaka. That's very terrifying. That's not what you would like to be in. And there's going to be Ivan located quite quickly. It's also already injured survivors, so a very quick down here. So, there's going to be Stevie as well now. So this actually might turn into a huge endgame run by Team Eternal here.
Yeah, and this is big here, right? Because you had mentioned the pressure coming out in a best of 5. You either, let pressure go quickly into the survivors team's hand because this is your set, or right now you let them know, hey, I am here to play. We now have 2 entered survivors, 1 survivor on the ground. We have about 15 seconds until our survivors can even start powering the doors. There's a down Zaka the Monster on a tear right now.
Yeah, he's on a speed run here in the end game. We do see the pickup coming through, so you do kind of know where these survivors are. And he's now rotating over. The exit gates now possible to be powered, so this is going to be a difficult time for Ivan here. I feel like you need a good last chase on this survivor here in order to give Adri enough time to go for these doors, but I'm not sure if that down wasn't a little bit too quick. Unfortunately, Ivan there without resources though, so there's the door, there's Adri, but the question is, will he actually make it out of the door? And it doesn't seem like, and since Decisive Strike and Unbreakable are not going to be something we're going to see against the Plague here, that spells the GG as long Zaka is able to find his slug again.
That is crazy. Remind me, what were we at? We had the first 3 gens pop, and we were still sitting on, I think, just 1 hook, right? And then to be able to turn it around, and you're talking about the 4K here with no one. Well, we don't want to say that just quite yet. Obviously, we want to make sure that we can secure our slug. That was an elimination across the way, which does mean a potential hatch play could be coming in, but I do believe Zaka should be able to make it over here in time. Not that! Oh!
He doesn't get it! Last second Ivan not getting the hatch, potentially because he didn't move. Sometimes it's tricky to get the trigger there on the hatch in order to be able to crawl into the hatch there, but this is going to be a last second 4K for Zaka here. 28-10 is going to be the score in set number 1, and honestly, that's how you want to get started in your grand final, because now you do, just need an escape. It's going to be very likely Ivan on killer, and Ivan turned into a monster as well on the killer side, so just getting it out is going to be really difficult, but Eternity is under some pressure here, that's for sure.
Sheesh. Yo, what a turnaround in the end game. And I think we've all been there, even whether it's just been like you're like dropped on the hatch by a killer at the end game. And it's like, why can't I get I don't want to try and heal myself. I want to crawl through the hatch and have that happen. In this situation, really, really unfortunate for Eternity here. So really strong performance by Zaka, and talk about setting the pace. That was immaculate.
We are going to find out how Ivan for Team Eternity is going to answer to Team Eternal here. Plague, Suffocation Pit. Ladies and gentlemen, the win condition is going to be a 4K on a generator remaining. And if there's one survivor team that is very efficient and very quick trying to work against that, then it is in fact Eternal. So we're going to find out what's going to happen in trial number 2, and we're going to catch you straight after a short break.
All right, let's go ahead and take another trip on back into the fog here, back on Suffocation Pit, and Ivan with a very tall task here, if we're being perfectly honest, needing to make sure that nobody escapes to at least run it back. But really what you would like to do is get the 4K at just 4 gens complete.
Yeah, and that's a tall task, right? That's going to be a really, really difficult one, and we do see Nightlight coming out in the first chase here. Ivan immediately dropping it, and I do like that decision because you're on Shaq, and your power is really, really strong, but on Shaq it's going to be more painful than actually working out in your favor. So I really like this decision making, not taking too much risk, and this is now going to be the first hit though, and there's going to be support from Dan coming in with the stun. I love this coordination by Eternal here, having a player rotating over to step in for the teammate. Beautiful start for Eternal.
Yeah, that's going to be really big here because especially when you talk about later in the trial, we might be seeing Ivan be a little gun shy when working with the Corrupt Purge around the tiles like that, right? Because now you know that the team might be having the communication, might have a second person sitting right there just in case you get the hit. And then one thing I wanted to ask you real quick and then kind of get your perspective is, one, was there ever a point where we didn't allow the double apple add-on? And if that has always been allowed, why do you think all of a sudden it's seemed to firmly shift into the meta where we didn't really see it before?
Yeah, that's it's interesting to see how teams are experimenting around, right, and how quickly it can change what they're trying to do, what they're trying to set up here. So it is going to be coming down to the question though, how much pressure can Ivan create? And we do need pressure in the next 1 or 2 minutes here because Eternal has gone back to all 4 healthy survivors. Corrupt Intervention expired, so you almost just lost your perk here and the resources, and therefore it is going to benefit the survivors here in a slow early game. That is going to be a few scratch marks leading towards the bottom side, but even now, talking about communication, they're leaving everything super early, and that's going to be tricky to contest.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now what we're seeing on the survivor side is understanding the assignment. You had talked about it, right? Really being in a position where even though it's best of 5, I think you felt a way that I think even some other people that are sitting in with us today might be feeling as well, that if they were to have dropped the first set, which is their set here, it could spell some disaster. So instead, coming in, even though you've got I think what a lot of people would say is a rather obtainable win condition on the survivor side, even still playing super patient and just working, even as we see working through this loop here, back in the jungle gym, making sure that you use the resources to the most, going to be avoiding the pallet, that way you don't have to get the sickness, forces Ivan into the decision. Now, of course, with the puke, has the ability to be able to use that pallet to be able to get to safety here, which is wasting so much time of Ivan's here. Going to force them to go ahead, drop the chase, and yeah, we're still sitting at 5 gens, but I would imagine that we've got multiple gens across the way sitting well past 50%.
Yeah, this is it's hard, right? I think this is one of these matches, in case Eternal is keeping it up, it's one of these matches where we're gonna say at the very end the killer didn't make a single mistake. There was just no room to get any pressure down. So you do need to force a survivor into a mistake, and we do see someone running here quite in the open. That might be exactly the moment you are looking for. That is going to be Cass, and this is going to be the Puke. He does have the filler pellet over here. A few mind games coming out. Great patience by Cass, and a nice dodge here as well into the stun, but taking the hit, and now you're zoned towards the main building here. So this might be good for Ivan here going into the chase, and this is also Nightlight being around. He's infected, so broken really soon.
Yeah, and that will be another stack onto that, the Nanophobia. So that does mean anybody currently working on the Gens Grand, yeah, you just got a couple of them done here. Oh, get stunned, stupid, says Nightlight here. Going to be able to build some distance, even with the Brutal Strength, which will allow Yvonne to basically just shred through that pallet. But it's interesting. When you look around, both teams... I mean, yeah, you can say that you broke up the 3-gen right off the bat up here on the top side, but they don't seem to be worried about playing themselves into a 3-gen in the late game scenario, which is kind of interesting, seeing that both of these killers are very high profile killers and have known to have strong play games. It's just been interesting to watch.
This is now going to be a lot of chaos here on the main building. Dan spreading a little bit of confusion there, or trying to bamboozle the killer, not going to work out. Ivan keeping track onto Nightlight here, not sure if that's going to be enough for the Puke here, as you have to jump down into the hole there. That is going to cost some distance on the power, so Nightlight not going down here. 0 stages so far, so it is as longer we are in this trial now, every single second that is ticking down here is putting down a huge pressure to Ivan.
Yeah, and this is stuff. I mean, at least now with the tag on to Ace, you're slowing down those gens by 20%. But there's that 5th gen getting done. Now the survivors here do also know about the NOED, which isn't quite as big of a deal because, of course, everyone's already sick, which honestly, if you think about it, might make them neglect the pools, which may rid Ivan of some extra snowball power that maybe they would have had otherwise.
Yeah, you need a snowball, you need an entire avalanche here for this end game, and this, not going to find the target here as Nightlight is holding W. This is now going to be the down, but the other survivor even picked up. So Eternal not even taking 2 out and just getting the win done. They are even taking the 3 out here to put down as much pressure as possible. And this is going to be a 4K facing 3 stages on 1 single survivor. So this is going to put down an insane score of 47 to 17. Is that a signal for a grand final, or is that a signal for a grand final?
Yeah, I mean, talk about coming out and being able to set the pace here. One thing, though, now that I can't help but have to ask myself to now ask you. You had talked about heading into set number 1 as if set number 1 was a really must-need sort of win position for Eternal, because they didn't want to fall behind early, especially with that being their set. But now with Eternal coming out here in the fashion that they have, does that completely shift that pressure 180, and now this is a must win in the Blight set for Eternity?
I think so, right? Because we know Eternal. We know what's happening when they are on the run. I mean, they are on the run from the first second. But if Eternal gets on the real run when it comes to, okay, our plan works, our strategy works, our gameplay, team coordination, everything works, they are activating even more. And now you have given them set point number 1. And if they would take set point number 2 and just being 1 set away from the overall win, I think they're going to turn unstoppable. So if you want to stop them now efficiently, this is your set.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, the Blight too. I always like watching the Blight because, of course, the Blight is one of those hyper mobile killers, right? So it's going to mean that your communication has to be on point, your strategies have to be on point. You have to be able to adapt to the situation because both teams are going to be able to put some pressure back and forth. And with these two teams here, and with Eternal having the momentum, it's going to be really interesting. But of course, we're going to be starting with the killer from the Blight, or the Blight killer from Eternity first. So we'll be bringing that trial to you guys after a very quick break.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. We found the reason for the 2 times wrong server. It was Bubazava not having crossplay enabled. Therefore, we are not going into this with a no-fault restart. It's going to be a survivor fault restart, meaning your perks are revealed, you take a -2 and a warning here. So this is going to be a little deficit for our team Eternal, especially when you know who is going to be the DS, the Unbreakable, etc. players. So this is a little advantage for Ivan, and if you ask me, that's kind of what you take when you're in this rough spot.
Yeah, I would say with the fact that you're coming in, even though the score, it's one of those where you don't get a point penalty, coming in and knowing exactly who has what, especially in this situation with finding the chase with Zaka here, I don't imagine Ivan's going to drop this chase at all at this point, knowing that that is your Delhi player. So it's kind of one of those things where it changes like the strategy of the game a little bit, even just in the fact that you know all the perks. So going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
And there's going to be a nice down onto Zaka right here. So we do see the first hook coming in quite quickly, 80 seconds into this trial. But 80 seconds means individually repaired generators will be completed. And it seems like Eternal has at least one of them done. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do see another one coming out very, very soon here. Good thing for Ivan is he chased in active generators, so it might be the one over there to the left, to the right side of the map, but that's it.
Yeah, and if that's the case, it does mean that these couple of gens that are over kind of around where you're at right now kind of can be left once the unhook happens if you happen to take a chase somewhere else. If you happen to go for these fresh hooks and you're trying to get the extra pressure elsewhere. Now at this point, though, with finding the ace moving in for the save, that is 2 different survivors now being injured or down, 10% slowdown on anybody happening to be working on those gens across the map. That's now also going to be another fresh hook, which is going to be big for Ivan moving into the mid portion of the trial. And with the corrupt now off the gens, can't help but wonder if maybe we see people trying to attack those now so you don't have a late game 3 gen setup. But I mean, right now, I think Ivan can kind of vibe, honestly.
Yeah, he has a good reason to chill. He does get the second hook right here, so you also get a little bit of value very soon from that dying light, which is a very interesting combination together with the Thanatophobia here. So it's all about aggressive slowdown, and I like the confident pick if you're playing against a team like Eternal, coming out that confident and trying to make sure that you're getting the hook stages in. I do feel like a lot of people wouldn't go for that aggressive combination, and that Ivan is picking it. I really like that he says, I have the performance level, I do have the preparation, I'm gonna handle this.
I do have to be honest with you, though, Dyer. I am a little concerned. And the reason I'm more concerned is that I feel like when we see the teams that come out with the dying light, it's usually more when you're coming out on the second half of a set and you have a very aggressive win condition. And that leads me to believe that Ivan here understands that you need that to set the pace here, because you understand that Eternal will probably come out with a very strong Blight player, and you want to make sure you can put as much pressure down as possible.
Yeah, that's true, right? We have quite a lot of Blight players on the roster of Eternal. It could be Zaka, it could be Nightlight. Yeah. Both of them really related, and that's the names, right? Zaka or Nightlight. If you are in the position that you can put an or between Zaka and Nightlight on your team, then you realize what kind of a stacked roster you have. But we do see that they're coming in with a 2-man here because they don't want to give out the elimination that early into the game here. So it is going to be Ivan and Bubazave and the team member going into a patience game, and it's going to go for the tunnel out with the BT at here. So Dan is taking some distance, some time, and I think he's going to lose a generator for this.
Yeah, and this is going to be tough. I mean, at least the good news is if it's a generator, it's only one generator, because we did have the 2 survivors rotate in for that save, right? But what's tough is if you could have at least maybe gotten the tag onto one of the other survivors that would have caused them to not be able to move in, as we see the Jonah doing right here, to be able to take the protection hits, be able to extend this chase. Plus, if you had been able to get the tag on the other survivor that wasn't Jonah here, that would now be 15% slowdown onto the gens instead of the 10 from the Nanophobia. And of course, every percentage point does count this late into the trial here. And we now see moving into the middle of the map here, that is the Ace trying to be able to get the play. Oh, instead getting auto-locked, I think, onto the pallet. I'm not sure if that was the dead hard there or not from Dan. No, Dan doesn't. I don't think we've seen the dead hard there. That's going to be big. That's a big down.
Huge. And a big down over the window there as well. Jesus. There was quite some distance off the window. Nice firecracker right here. Zaka with the juice in the shack. Really making sure that there's not going to be a double down, but there's going to be generator number 5 and just 3 stages so far. So Eternal doing Eternal things.
Imagine if Dan had adrenaline right there.
Oh, God.
We do see, though, now at this point. Now, the one thing that is good for Yvonne is you're really kind of free to go after whoever you happen to find here, because everyone is worth the same amount of points. The bad news for you, though, if you're Yvonne, is everyone's worth the same amount of points because it's 3 fresh hooks. And if you get 3 fresh outs, giving that to Eternal with the 2 names that you had mentioned that we could potentially be seeing on the killer, that's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, it's really, really hard here, right? I mean, you have technically 1 additional stage due to the penalty there, but that doesn't really help you, right? That's a little fix maybe, or putting things in a little bit of a better place here, but Eternal just smashed it once again. They were efficient on the generators, they were brilliant in the chases. Ivan now checking if he can potentially find Zaka, who maybe receives a reset here. But very importantly, I would say
Dyer Zaka, actually, they find, getting this in, I forgot, Nia has been hooked before. So if you find Zaka, who's injured, who could bait you, that's less stages, actually.
Yeah, that's another thing they have here. But you would take it in best case, right? If you don't get anyone, at least Zaka, you would take it here. I do feel like you need more stages. You need at least 1 more survivor. It doesn't matter who it is, you need 1. That's important right here.
Yeah, and we're be able to find Zaka here, right? That's going to be tough. And it is by a door, which makes me think maybe we have somebody else over here, you think?
I mean, knowing Eternal, they would set up something crazy. Maybe there's someone in the back of Shack the entire time just waiting to prepare the third, because usually you would see the 2 fresh survivors going onto the other door and leaving, right? Mm-hmm. But even in the plague set we've seen, when the win condition was already up, they're still coming back and getting the most possible out here. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's somewhere an Eternal survivor hiding where we don't expect it, just waiting to pull another play here.
Would we be able to see those lights this far across the map? Do you think, would we be able to see that door across the way there? I see Yvonne taking a look over there and see, I can see obviously that outline when the trees in between, but I don't know if we'd be able to tell if there was progress when they were to start progressing on it itself. And this is tough. I mean, it's going to be 2 fully healthy survivors around the map, and it's going to be interesting to see the play, because, I mean, there is a bleed out timer, of course, counting down slowly onto Zaka, which could eventually force a move from Yvonne. But I feel like if you've got a good sight line on that door here, time's kind of on your side right now here if you're Yvonne.
On top of that, we need to mention the rule that survivors need to go for exit gates after 9 minutes. So just announcing this early, we will need to see the gates being powered at some point. They have still quite some time here, around 6 minutes, but at some point you need to go for it. You cannot hide too long. So I do think maybe they're also just waiting for the moment when Zaka needs to be picked up here in order to avoid the bleeder, and then they are hopping onto the other door, because that moment is going to come up in latest 2 minutes, right? And you really can't let the points of Zaka bleed out and then having the 2 fresh outs potentially. So you do need to go very soon to try find Zaka again.
Yeah, and man, it's gonna be tough because of course when you try and locate the slug, if they're not right in view of that door, it does open up an opportunity for Babazava or Kaz here to be able to start attacking the door across the way, getting those two fresh outs here, which is some pretty big points, quite honestly. But if Yvonne maybe opts to go for a bleed out here and forces the survivors to need to go for the doors here. Well, you talked about that forced restart at the 9-minute mark, the violation of the 9-minute mark, and that violation would result in a survivor fault restart. So I feel like it's kind of some risk reward. Do I not worry about the slug because then I force them to have to at least make a play for the door here? I don't know. This is interesting.
Yeah, it's really tough, right? Because there's the bleed out forced by Eternal, so there's pressure, and at the same time there's the rule forcing the attack of the exit gates after 9 minutes. They still have a lot of time, so just half time when we talk about the pressure here towards the exit gates, and that immediately as he leaves the tile over here, and immediately there's a survivor on the door. They were lurking in the shadows here, and there's the pickup onto Zaka. But for Ivan, I do feel like that's a good trade, right? Because Zaka was the one hooked before, and this mag here would be fresh.
Yeah, it does give you some more hooks here, definitely. I mean, it gets you more points, which is the big thing, is because you do already have the one fresh, of course, you have to worry about. We have a survivor over here trying to get this door primed, to get this thing finished. I didn't happen to see how much progress, but I think we were floating close to the 50% mark when we had the downed survivor here, and now things get a little spicy because that's Jonah here. Jonah, of course, being the fully healthy survivor, trying to get the bend around, able to get the hit down onto Bubba's over here. I feel like right now, if you're Yvonne, I feel like you should go for the play of forcing the survivors out because, oh no, they're already going to take the two out right off the bat here. That is that fresh hook survivor, which does get you 3 more stages here in the end game. But when we talk about the number 7 on the Blight with, you mentioned Zaka or Nightlight, I don't know if that's going to be enough.
Yeah, it's really tough, right? You get technically 1 additional stage with a penalty there, so you have 8 stages, but 8 stages against against either Zaka or Nightlight is going to be really huge. So we do see a score coming out of 17 to Eternal. 17 to Eternity and 13 for Eternal penalty already included. So you take a slight lead here, but it is going to be really difficult. And with the delay on the crossplay, we're going straight into the break and going to catch you for trial number 4.
All right, let's take another trip on back into the fog, and you guys get to find out when we found out, and it's going to be Nightlight coming out here for Eternal, and currently looking at a score difference of only a couple of points. A couple of more points, I must say, thanks to the penalty, but currently down by 4 here. But Nightlight is in a pretty good situation, needing to get right around that 8 stage mark here. And with finding a survivor this quick, taking chase into your uncorrupted portion of the map, if Nightlight can get it down here really quick, will be set up really well.
Yeah, if Nightlight gets this straight up, there would be so much pressure for him. 60 seconds, though, nearly expired. So Eternity doing quite a good job here, forcing him into fatigue. Adri now forced to go for the mind game. Oh! He has a nice DH prevent now going down, though, but that's a few seconds for your survivor team here, and you now hit the 80-second mark very soon here. So that means every individually attacked generator will be done, and we do see kind of what we've seen in trial number 1, though. It is going to be a chase towards the active generator. Not as bad as for Eternal, but still interrupting a little bit. Important, though, that they're getting out the mid generator here with the double up. I think that was a really good one, because this mid generator can make some trouble towards mid and end game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the reason we saw our survivors attacking that with the pair there, right? Making sure that they get that done, especially with Nightlight finding a survivor in the uncorrupt side of the map. I mean, the survivor did do a good job of basically only using what, the one filler palette and then moving to the TNL. Even at this point, seeing our ace say get stunned stupid, plus 10 wood added to the face, plus we're burning the retinas with the flashlight here as well. Nightlight getting lost in the sauce as we see generator number 2 getting popped off in the distance. The only problem is, of course, Nightlight knows where our survivors need to go, and that's here towards the hook. A second stage about to be forced, and if we don't have a second person here, that's a second stage forced. That's another person hit. 15% slowdown on these gens right now, thanks to the Thanatophobia right now. Oh, and with Nightlight getting them down here, Nightlight is in so much control.
Yeah, this is insane. This is a best of the best performance, which I really enjoy when Nightlight is coming out here. Every second stage, Ivan slugged, now pressure onto Nancy here. So 3 survivors busy with the pressure the killer is putting down here, and that leaves Claudette on the journey to go for the save of the match here. Now the patience game coming out. They are going to win this with a very, very good firecracker, but it is going to be the wait out on the BT here, getting the elimination as quick as possible. Blocking both windows! Wow. One after one, still the BT though, but that was Omega Brain.
Yeah, and that's going to be big here because, of course, that is going to allow Nightlight to just be able to continue the tunnel out process. You know that you've only got a 4-lane over here. There's the dead hard, not going to be enough. So that is going to be a down over here at this point, and unless we are talking about seeing a decisive strike, that is going to spell GG's, and now that is going to be a 3v1, and you can't help but wonder if we are going to be seeing at least a 3rd gen popping here in exchange for it.
Yeah, Eternity, right? If you're facing so much pressure, you are going to feel a lot of agony, and they need to keep this up. It's going to be Claudette taking attack for the teammate here, so Ace can move away, but everyone injured now, so that's 15% slowdown onto our survivor team here. 2 generators to go before we are going into endgame. We have a Pop Goes the Weasel kick available, we have Snowball potential, and there's the Nancy going down, so I do feel like at this point it's Eternity running after Nightlight's pressure. We do see that they're going for the reset, which also tells us that nobody is working on a generator right now.
Yeah, and this is tough. I mean, knowing that you've already got 1 survivor out, you're talking about a pretty obtainable win condition if you are Nightlight. 8 hook stages, now getting another fresh hook out of the way, making sure that you get that pressure spread across the board here. Also, of course, able to get that pallet at Shack taken care of out of the way here. Now, it is worth noting, you'll see as we look around, our survivors have done a rather good job as far as the split pressure on the generators. The only question that I can't help but ask myself is there enough time for them to bang out? Oh, but there's actually a deliverance across the way here, which is big because that means no one has to rotate in for the save. And if we also have somebody else working on a gen, like the Ace who's very close to, with the swing and the miss here, was going to be able to build a little bit of distance. There's no pallet here, though. Now no longer going to be able to build a little bit of extra distance from that pallet space, but we might see generator number 4, and we've got to keep in mind that TNL gen that this Claudette was on had a lot of progress on it as well.
Yeah, these are these mid-games moment you're waiting for and hoping for, right? And these strong chases can really put the pressure back here. So we do see Eternity getting some pressure in. Ivan is also healthy, so this survivor, when going into chase, can potentially make you run for a little bit longer here. It is important, though, for our Nancy to stay hidden and really making sure that they are not getting into the next chase here, because now if you do have the hook and then going to be slugged, then for Ace it's going to be a hard time. So they are doing a good job. We don't see the Nancy anywhere, so Eternity knows exactly what they need to do here. Nightlight checking between these generators and the hook stage has built himself a little bit of a doable gen setup with the 2 on bottom here. It's difficult with the split though, but he definitely has a good control, at least over the bottom side.
The one thing that we do have to keep in mind here is we're kind of in a weird catch-22 for our survivors. If the Nancy's found like this right here, that is a survivor that's already injured and able to be put down onto the ground right away. But Yvonne is a fresh hook, and if Yvonne would happen to be able to make an end game play, that's a pretty big point swing as we are currently sitting. So Nightlight opting to go for the slug here, and now we're probably going to see ourselves into a little bit of a standstill.
Yeah, this is the moment of the game where it freezes, kind of, right? You do try to find that final survivor. The final survivor is trying to hide, potentially setting up for an end game play, as Ivan would have 10-point swing. Would be actually interesting if that is coming into effect. Maybe staff can make a quick calculation telling us if a fresh out on Ivan would change the things here, but I don't think it is going to matter much, because Ivan, now been detected, is going to take attack by Nightlight here, dropping the pallet, getting Nancy back up. So Eternity fighting, but if Nightlight gets a quick down on one of these survivors again, I do think he will be able to still track down survivor number 4.
That is tough here, and that is going to be the down here at this point. Now going to be able to build a little bit of distance with the pallet, but instead actually just going to try and work around the pallet itself, as we do see the sacrifice across the way onto the hook here. And now with Ace being able to get the down, as long as you can get your slugs, that's your 4K at 4 gens complete. I mean, you're talking about just needing to simply come out and I mean, to do it at this pace, I mean, right now, Eternal's got all the momentum in the world. This is insane.
And this is what we were concerned about, right? Eternal taking set point number 2 as well. So now they are facing a 2-0, one more set for the win overall here. That's going to create such a dynamic, which is, on the side of Eternal, just straight up dangerous.
So, I mean, here at this point, I mean, you would know better than me, right? So, because, of course, with Eternity is going to be coming in on the back-to-back Survivor sets here, and you need to set the tone here on the Survivor side to start the comeback. So, what does the conversation in Discord look like right now?
I think what you need to try do right now is the difficult restart in your head. You do need to cancel the first 2 sets here. You need to forget about the Plague, forget about the Blight. Potentially, you need to play a best of 3 that is starting now. And the Executioner is going to be your start. You need to have the pressure on the generators from the very first second. You need to be super efficient. And I feel like the first chase is really, really important, because you can try get something out of your mind and you can try to go for a fresh restart, but what you need at some point is an in-game event that is really putting the mood and the mindset down of, okay, here is our restart. And I feel like this first chase that is going to come out on the Executioner, I feel like this chase needs to be brilliant to get 2 generators out, 3 generators out, and if you achieve that, then I feel like Eternity can make the swing here.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, especially because we have to keep in mind, too, that the Executioner set is Eternal's pick. So I imagine they are going to be coming in on the killer side with quite a bit of confidence. So a tall task definitely in order here for both squads, really, but especially Eternal has some momentum going in. So going to be interesting. Definitely a lot of pressure onto our survivors here. So we will be bringing that set number 3 to y'all after a very quick break.
Unfortunately, the best of the best winner doesn't main Pyramid Head, as he told us in the match channel. So it is going to be Zaka the Monster taking the responsibility in set number 3, carrying this home for Team Eternal. And now going into the first chase straight away. And we did say the first chase needs to be really, really good here in order to get some pressure down and a restart getting done for Team Eternity here. Unfortunately, that is for Zaka. Unfortunately, that seems to turn out at least a bit, because Zaka is forced to switch targets here. Does spot the Claudette. It's going to be Steve, but he already left as well into corrupted area. So a lot of time being lost here. 60 seconds with no injury so far.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that, like, hey, at least I got the Torment status onto the Ace already, so maybe I can make a play with that later in the trial. But yeah, this is a really tough situation now. We are able to get the hit here onto Audrey here, which is, of course, now going to be moving into our TNL. Drops the Firecracker, not going to be able to make a play with it. Does make the fast fall through, not going to be able to get the vault in the back through, unfortunately. So even though it had been a little bit until we were able to get our first real chase establishing it, our first health state change, turn that into a relatively quick down with all things considering here. Going to be getting the hook right around the 100-second mark. You will notice as we turn around, though, it is in the corrupt side of the map, and with no ruin being in play and being more than 100 seconds into the trial here, that's generator number 1. We might see numbers 2 and 3 pop shortly.
Yeah, we should see a few generators here. Main is also with a ton of progress here, so Eternity played a really, really good early game here. The hook stage far incorrupt, so you don't worry too much about that. You do get the unhook now, though, so going to be interesting if we do see the tunnel out and Zaka decides there's still enough time, and I do agree with that because we are still on 4 generators remaining here. It's going to be the drop by the Nia, but a whiff coming out by Zaka here, forcing the mic. Oh, they are actually making that work here. Adri with a phenomenal chase on this TNL here. Once again, this is exactly what you need here, and this Nia could even have a decisive strike, because against P-Head, that's a resource available to the Survivor team. It's just banned in combination with Unbreakable, but you might have an anti-tunnel perk here, so Zaka also forced to just go for the stack now, and that takes additional time from him.
Yeah, but the one thing that you do have to keep in mind, as you had mentioned, as much as you're worried about the decisive strike, we don't want to overcommit to either chases here, because you had also mentioned that perk Unbreakable that could be at our disposal. Not sure if that was what Audrey used to get up off of the ground or not. We had seen a couple of survivors kind of lurking in the shadows over here. Back over to the TNL, into the corner we go. Now getting the down with the M2. I believe we've since expired 60 seconds since the last hook. That is a big time. Unfortunately, Nia was between our survivor trying to come in with the flashlight save and our pyramid head. So that is now going to be hook stage number 2. But with 3 gens complete, I mean, survivors are pushing a lot of pressure right now. And with that getting a pop goes the weasel, still sitting at about 50% progress.
Yeah, it's rough now, right? Because if this elimination is coming through, I do feel like you want to be in endgame when that happens, if you are in this spot you are right now. So we need some very, very quick finishes of these generators here. And unfortunately, our Nancy is going into a map corner, but it is enough distraction for Ace rotating over, but Zaka coming back just in time here. Going to be tough to go for this unhook. It needs to work out whatsoever, because we really, really need this Nia going for a longer run here. It needs to be a run until at least 2 more generators are completed. That's a challenge, and we can tell that Ivan is trying to block Zaka as best as possible. They are doing a really phenomenal job on these dodges. That's something we have to say, though. The quote of missed M2s by Zaka is over average this game.
100%. Now we can probably anticipate that Steve the Claudette is probably working on a generator, as we have not seen them for a while, but that is 10% slowdown currently thanks to that Thanatophobia. There's going to be the hit and the down. There's going to be a hit by the Ace here as well, and that is going to be super unfortunate, as of course with the Torment status, that does mean the elimination can come in by the hand here by Zaka. Doesn't have to go through the whole process of putting somebody up on a hook. Now with 4 gens popped, though, and with the generator spread, and with this generator right next to us knocking like a Ford in the middle of the winter, Zaka's got some pressure on him.
Yeah, a really, really phenomenal job here. Really taking the time away from the Survivor team now, making sure that they're not going into endgame that quickly. We have seen quite a run towards 2 generators, right? And then a little bit of freeze once again. He lost one additional generator, but right now he's in a really, really good spot. And you do see that the survivors are constantly forced to rotate over as well, put some pressure here. So this is going to drag them away from the generators. They're trying to attack this one over here, but you do have a hook straight next to it. So it's going to be really tricky to get the generator right next to the hook out of the way. And if they need to start one in the distance, there will be even longer time you have to potentially camp into the second stage for free here.
Yeah, I mean, and right now, Zaka's just putting up a really tough performance. I mean, we had seen a really good kind of first run, from distance, able to get the down and the injure here. So now even if anybody is working on that fifth and final gen 15% slowdown, thanks to the Thanatophobia, trying to get the additional down with the slug currently in the corner, is our killer Zaka trying to use the, I think that, no, it wasn't about landing? Was it? No, it had to have been about landing to build that distance, right?
Yeah, they are. Oh wait, actually, this might be tricky here. If this would be a down straight right here, that will be difficult for that final survivor being over there, and then in need once again to fix the pieces together and get the pickup and the final generator. Zaka needs a quick down, and Claudette did a good job just holding W as far away as possible. So the question is, where's Ivan? Are they just going for generator number 5? Maybe with an adrenaline here. That's the case. It was on Steve. So Eternity back in play here. 2 survivors standing. Now maybe holding W also to just go for the pickup there. So it is staying really close here to the very last second.
Yeah, I mean, things are really tough right now. And I mean, we do, of course, see we still have one survivor on the ground. Oh, actually, now that survivor getting picked up off the ground is going to be huge here. However, you will notice on the right side of the screen currently is going to be that haste status. My boy Pyramid Head does not skip leg day. He is moving just a little bit quicker around the map. And we see tracking down some scratch marks, trying to see if maybe we can get a shot with the M2 with no vision. He is absolutely disgusting.
Zaka now, and this is something we need to say about Zaka, right? Whenever needed, he's there. He might have a difficult mid game, he had a difficult early game, but when he's needed for his team and when he needs to put up a few additional stages, then he's there. And this was a really, really important finisher for this match, because Ivan is 3 additional stages here. So we do have 7 or 8 stages overall here. So a really, really strong work by Zake for Team Eternal. It is going to be a 17 to 15, 17 Eternal, 15 Eternity, and that is going to leave 8 stages win condition or 7 stages across 4 survivors, and that's with P-Head going to be quite a challenge on Rancid.
Yeah, I mean, you were able to come out here and you were able to get yourself some outs here, right? So you're at least able to start a little bit of what you needed to do here, but now you are going to need to, you're going to need to turn things around. You have a pretty tough win condition here, but I think right now the important thing is you take this time and kind of like you said, heading into this trial, even though obviously you have a very clear win condition, I think you just have to come out and just try and play your maximum. And it's like, I don't want to say speed running, because obviously that's kind of hard to do in comp, but it's like you just have to come out and leave it all on the table in this next trial.
Yeah, you say it's on the table. The decision of struggle, of survival might be right there in the next trial number 6 here. It would be Eternal or Eternity bringing it home here and taking the win. So we are going to find out if Eternity is going for a comeback or if Eternal is bringing it home. It is going to be the next match straight after a break.
All right, and after the restart, we are back. Of course, you know, even with the restart with the penalty here, I mean, still a very tall task. Must we say, for our killer here. Now having to run it back, I mean, I would even say, even if you're able to get a quick down, I mean, still just having to have put forward through the effort, the concentration. Right now, I think we're back in that same scenario where the first chase really could mean a lot for you. I mean, we do see the Meg taking a tag relatively early, but going to be burying themselves into the corrupt side of the map, and with already 45 seconds being exposed. And I mean, there is going to be a ruin available if our survivors do get off of the gens to help as far as regression, but I think they just go ahead and I think right now we would probably just see them slamming out across the board 3 different gens, and this could be tough.
Yeah, I think the penalty or the restart with the inner healing was good, right? Because the first trade-off here in the early game really didn't work, and this is what you are looking for. This looks very different here. So Ivan using that second chance. I mean, it's not really a second chance because Eternal gave it to him by messing up the balance, but he is really using this restart into his favor and coming out confidently. Now 90 seconds, here's the down, here's my pressure. I do feel like you don't worry about that one completed generator too much because you do have the pressure down and you get your game started.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you have it in the kind of middle of a couple of gens. However, we do see a relatively fast unhook coming in, which could be interesting to see here. Nightlight taking the tag here as well. And it does look like our killer is going to... actually going to be trying to at least monitor the middle gen here. But man, this is going to be tough. You talked about the 1 gen, not being too worried about that. But if we see a second gen popping out, the pressure will continue to rise here. And while we do have the ruin still helping us at this point in time, oh, what a nice shot from distance, though.
Yeah, Ivan is coming out here now, really, really insane, and gets the basement hook as well here. So that is going to be quite some pressure now. Bubazava here, second stage, and in the basement from here, you have a great access to all the generators around. Rancid Abattoir kind of rewarding you if you get the basement hook here now, drawing also a little bit in the ground to get the power set. So anyone going into the basement is going to be slowed down or taking the Trial of Torment. So it is going to be interesting what Ivan is going to do here, because just camping, I feel like, is not going to be enough. And I do like that he's trying to push the survivors away from the generators here, because then you also make the most out of your ruin here.
Yeah, the ruin being up still at this point is quite interesting, especially because we do notice that Nightlight took that hit earlier, but still is yet to be healed, which leads me to believe that we've got 3 survivors spread up across 3 different generators, which means even if you happen to take time and put pressure into that corner where you know you have a survivor currently working on a gen, that's either at least leaves one person on a gen and one person in for the save, or maybe even now, since you've seen a generator complete, have people trying to rotate in. No, actually going to be seeing the sacrifice, and that changes things a little bit. However, a 4th gen also changes things here, because I feel like you're okay with a 3v1 when it's just one generator. Oh my goodness.
Ivan is just really, really impressive here. Nightlight finding a down as well is going to be hook stage number 4. We are talking about 7 stages. With the penalty, it's around 6. So if he gets, it's between 6 and 7 stages. So going to be huge if he does get a few more in, and we are not even in end game yet. So if you find another fresh hook before generator number 5, that would really, really be beneficial. And it's important to mention that we still have the ruin. Nia leaving the generator here is going to lead into some generator regression. Zake not getting the balanced landing of at the harvester here. Balanced landing recently a little bit more difficult in comp, as a few locations do not trigger it anymore. So wow, Ivan is collecting moments for a YouTube video here.
Yeah, really nice shots. I mean, honestly, just being able to continue to put pressure down, continue to get the hook stages here. This is now going to be a basement hook here. Unfortunately, though, there is gen number 5 getting complete. Zaka is in the basement, though. That is a fresh hook. That's a lot of stages. That's a lot of points. And when you had mentioned us being around that 6 hook mark, I believe that means that our survivors here would need to get the save, right?
I feel like they It could be tricky because the penalty is -2 and the fresh hook is 3. It might be Eternal still winning by just 1 point. I'm not entirely... If Nia dies, Eternity wins. There's the confirmation in the background. So Ivan just wanted to make it extra safe with getting another survivor in. But now you can also chill on the staircase here, right? So if he gets this, Eternity is actually coming back here, and I really, really think they deserve that, because Eternity was always the team that is putting something last second, that is always having something in the back pocket. So, especially in a grand final, it's the moment to shine.
So, something I just thought about. We had heard a sound notification after the team would have known about the Noed, right? Or at least they would have assumed it, and that was actually the ruin that got cleansed, that they didn't cleanse throughout the entirety of the game down here. Now, we have one person in a locker. We also have a second survivor in the basement here. So now really all he has to do is, Ivan can just chill up here at the top of the stairs. You can just big vibe.
Ivan can celebrate up there on the staircase. He has a really good time right now. Also, for all the statistic Andes or rule set Andes that might say, oh, he's blocking the pathway of the survivor for longer than 10 seconds here. Our survivor is not actively trying to go around the killer here, so the pathway is not blocked, as the survivors are not trying to path this way, so there's no worries about the 10-second rule, just as an explanation how it works. But you do have your Nia down there, you do have that other survivor there, so it is going to be... maybe he's too scared to just hook Nia, because in their calculations they haven't won yet. I'm not sure if they calculate with a penalty. That might be the explanation why he's trying to get Dan and Zaka.
Doing the locker dance here. Going to be able to get the grab here, though, on to Dan at this point. Dan is going to be a fresh hook. And I think even if Nia would be saved here with, Dan being a fresh hook, that should confirm things here. But it does look like we might be seeing Nightlight trying to make a last-second save here. If they all escape right now, it would be a tie, but that means that Nightlight is going to have to do best of the best things right now. And we do hear a loud sound notification. I'm not sure if maybe that might have been a Lithe to try to get into the basement here. But no, actually not going to be the play here. Nightlight now going down, and with Ace being in the basement now, you just let everything wind down.
Yeah, you might be able to just wait it out, right? Endgame collapse is going to do some work for you. I mean, there you have a cage as well, so it actually ends in a 4K here, which is not important when talking about who's taking set number 3, but Eternity now going into a comeback. I feel like the 4K for them is actually having quite some impact.
Yeah, especially because you had talked about heading into this set, right? That you had to kind of really take the 2-0 and just throw it out the window and say, hey, we have to start, reset, best of 3 series. And you come out on Eternal set here, you get the 4K, you take set number 1. Now moving into your set, probably going to be feeling relatively confident on the Oni, although of course, we could see Eternal do Eternal things. That's something we'll have to keep an eye out for. But if you can come out here on your set, feel confident, now you're going into set number 5 with a whole bunch of momentum.
Yeah, the momentum is going to be really, really huge here. So I can't wait to see how set number 4 is turning out here, because now Eternity is feeling great. They managed to come back. They pulled a very, very nice 4K. And Oni is going to be a really interesting killer to have another question of, is Eternal going to take it home, or is Eternity going for the second comeback here? I feel like Oni is the perfect killer to test this. We are going to set up trial number 7. Yeah, it's 7. Trial number 7 here with my mathematical skills, and we're going to catch you straight after a little break. Oni on the comp tower, one of the most amazing killers to have a decision with, and the decision is still on the table. Eternal could take it home here on the coal tower with the Oni. The first chase coming out on a filler pallet here on the top left with Zaka, so not the best spot to be in. Ivan will try to get the first hit relatively quickly here, but Zaka looks really confident to begin with.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you do see trying to get the most you can out of a little filler pallet. And you're going to be able to get to the next pallet here. And of course, in kind of typical versus Oni fashion, throwing these pallets really roll. I think Ivan might have actually been able to get a hit had they been looking the right way there. I think might have mind gamed themselves, but here's going to be the M1. At least at this point, when we talk about the first M1 coming in less than 60 seconds into the trial here, and even though we do see with the splintered hole here, going to be getting a whole bunch of those blood orbs here. Now Ivan's going to be forced in the decision. Do we continue with the chase here with our power, or do we use our power to go put pressure elsewhere on the map? And I think we will find out our answer here shortly.
I think this really suits Ivan's playstyle. He's confident with his killers. He's trying to get the most pressure across the map, and I really see him go confidently. Oh, that was juicy over here. But yeah, I really like that because I think it really suits Ivan's playstyle here, and he's confident once again. There's a lot of the table, right? It's about Eternal potentially taking the grand final here, and he still goes for his game plan, making sure that it's going his way here, and therefore it is. Oh my goodness, they're running into the locker for the head-on. This is incredible here, and this is also going to be the power just running out in time. Insane plays right here.
That is going to be huge here. You figure if Ivan here was running the Fang instead of the Akito's Crutch, you still have plenty of time to be able to get a down with your power. And instead, now going to be seeing Powerless. Yeah, you've got an injured David, so they are dropping blood orbs here around Manum, a whole bunch of them. Of course, once you go vaulting through the window, this should be the down. Maybe get Shaq Pallet down, but the down nonetheless. However, this has been a lot of time still. More wasted. Do we have a survivor around for a pallet save? Not going to be the case. Now I'm going to be seeing Ivan rotating more into the middle of the map, trying to see at least now you've got a couple of gens that you can hang around and the power, but I don't know if you've got enough in your control right now.
Yeah, the control is important to mention, right? It really looks a bit difficult here for Ivan. He's now trying to mind game, but the pallet drop is coming through. Our survivor also looping the inside of the jungle gym here, keeping it safe. Dan doing a good job here as well, and the time is kind of running out for Ivan because... yeah, out of nowhere! I take everything back. Nothing is running out here for Ivan. Very insane hit onto Nightlight here. He was not expecting that. And there's going to be the next survivor over here in a locker, but unfortunately the power running out. So they will get the unhook here. However, you do have Nightlight slugged, so you don't worry too much.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think our, we see trying to wait for the pickup. There we go, putting Nightlight right back down onto the ground. Says, you wait there a minute. I'm not quite finished with David. Continuing the chase into our jungle gym here. Does look like David does take the vault, which of course with that splintered hole is going to give a whole bunch of progress to Ivan when it comes to the next use of the power. But with Nightlight on the ground here, can't help but wondering where the priority lays with our survivors. We've got people injured across the board. Are we trying to slam out gens, or are we trying to reset here?
Yeah, difficult decision, right? Resets are even more important when it comes to the Oni, so it's always quite tricky to see what the teams are deciding for. It is going to be the fourth generator, so for now, it doesn't seem like they're worrying much about these resets. Not going to find the tag here, but if you find a quick down or returning to Nightlight's hook in a good spot or in a good timing, you might be able to change some things here. For now, you do chase this survivor here. And the rock can actually cast, making a great one here. Really, really. Now the pressure is really becoming difficult. And Kaz, once again, becoming a helicopter. That's kind of what we see a lot of times at this palette here, playing this absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and this is going to be, not going to be able to get the pallet down, though. That is really, really tough because you are now buried back in the corner. Any pallet stunners? Nope, not going to be the case. Now going to be hook state number 3 here. That is a second stage here on Kaz, which, I mean, at least the good news for you, for the survivors right now, not only is it just the fact that you've gotten 4 generators done, but you do still have 2 fresh hook survivors in this trial, which could be some big points if you happen to get out the trial here.
Now we do see that Ivan is trying to scout the map, find more survivors, looking in the air there a bit. Didn't expect the Anno coming in that quickly and worried to lose a bit of pressure. Mind Games coming out, good zoning into a firecracker, but Zaka not doing too much with that except a little bit of distance. And this distance is actually going to be enough to make Ivan busy for a little bit longer and bamboozle him on the edge map here. So this is going to be quite some time being taken as edge map Andy now and Kaz is rotating over to help out Zaka here. So power is running out, but you do drag the killer far away from the generators here. So generator number 5 might be right there. This is not Caster's curse, it's Caster's prediction this time. And this is going to be hook stage number 4. We do have a no way out that is triggered now. So we do have 36 seconds here, but you really need to go cross map right now in order to stop them.
Yeah, you know, there's been a couple of times here now that I just can't help but wonder if maybe Ivan would have gotten a little bit more value. And I know Ivan is getting some value, obviously, with the extra movement from the Akito's crutch, but there have been a couple of times here that I feel like maybe you could have even established an extra down or 2 through the trial by having the Fang there. And especially now at this point as well, popping into that power, can't help but wonder if having the additional 10 seconds of duration at this point would help out here. But now going to be trying to find ourselves a survivor. It looks like we have located Dan, the ace, who was able to pre-throw the pallet, able to play around it just a little bit here. The no way out has expired on the door, so our survivors do have the ability to put pressure probably across the board, I would imagine, as this chase is kind of back across the map away from the 2 of them. That way we open up some options here. We are working around the jungle gym. Not sure if we make the window. We make it just by the edge here. Now this is going to be huge because if you're back here, my shack, this could be a potential hatch play if you're not making a play for the door. Oh, but we see actually that Adam coming in?
Now Adam coming in, yeah. That is going to be just a few stages, yeah, for Oni on Cold Tower. With that much pressure also in the early game, it's a really, really insane comeback here. And they are taking, even now, time from Ivan in order to force him push the survivors out of the door here. So Nightlight going on to a hook. We do have the AS over here now actually going for a drop, a little bit risky here because Nightlight is going to crawl, and that is also going to be quite some wiggle progress. So I understand you need more stages, but this might be backfiring.
Yeah, but here, especially because here's the thing. You have 2 options, right? You can either move farther towards the door and put Ivan in a tough situation, or you can always put yourself right on top of Hatch if you have the trust in your teammate here, in Dan, to be able to make a play. We see just the standoff going here. The timer is, of course, going down with the end game collapse here. We see 1 vault back into the... We do see Nightlight was actually able to crawl back towards the door. That means that the hatch is in play. Ivan has to make a decision because, of course, it's outside if you take the time to close it. And I think maybe might have been seeing Dan be able to rotate around. No way!
Oh my goodness, he managed to do that. And that was what I mentioned, right? I understand you take the risk here. I understand you want more hook stages, but sometimes it is really better to take what's safe and go with these stages before it backfires here. This is really going to hurt Eternity. It is going to be at 10 for Eternity, 18 to Eternal. So 4 stages, that's actually quite tough.
That is talk about an intense end game and Eternal. I hate to continue to use the phrase, but I mean, Eternal really just doing Eternal things. That was impressive there in the end game, and now Eternity's going. We're going to be seeing Eternal coming out on the killer side here, like you had mentioned, with very few stages needing to be obtained here. So right now, Eternity under the really having a lot of pressure. So we're going to switch sides here, and we will be bringing trial number 8 to y'all after a very quick break. All right, let's take another trip on back into the fog here. Right now, we are going to be seeing Eternal currently out on the killer side here, up 2 set points to 1, currently up 18 to 10, really only needing 5 stages here on the Cold Tower. And even though Oni does tend to struggle a little bit in the early stages, we see here already breaking up the main building, trying to break down that tile. We have located a survivor over here in this portion of the map. Kind of going to be, actually now it's 2 different survivors over here. Over on this side of the map that is uncorrupt, which could be big, and it could spell disaster early here if we were to be able to see a quick health state change, but the head on here to be able to create some distance.
I love the head-on because it's such a reply to the previous trial here. Interesting to see Zaka with the Bamboozle and Brutal Strength. That's usually one of the two, but with 4 stages you can be more aggressive, right? Because you don't necessarily need that much pressure onto the generators if you guarantee a quick down. And as you mentioned, a very quick injury or quick down even would be really, really tough. And this is now going to be Bamboozle with... Oh! Not going to be enough though. Our Dwight is going to stay alive, but you already got him injured just in M1, and then you have your power, or you use the power now in order to go for the survivors that just got generator number 1 out of the way here. So what I do feel like is required is that they are surviving this power without taking it down.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I would imagine we are going to be seeing our survivors trying to play rather immersive, make sure they're not leaving any tracks behind here. Checking the locker here is Zaka. Worth noting here, as Zaka does go into the power for the first time, is bringing out the Lion's Fang, so is going to have a little bit longer in this power here. Now going to be moving up towards the main building side of our map, able to locate some scratch marks. Not sure if we're going to be able to locate a survivor. Probably going to check these lockers here if I had to guess. Trying to bait out the swing. One swing here, not going to be able to pull it, but at least going to be able to get the grab here. And with the last light here,
this is incredibly played by Eternal. Jesus Christ. This is just insane. So this is this is really, really incredible. Yes, you get your power back, but you are running after the survivor for much longer, and there's another generator being out of the way. So Eternity here, absolutely incredible, and I love to see what they are doing right now.
Yeah, coming out with a bunch of tricks up the sleeve here. We saw the early head-on. We saw the flashlight save here. Now going to be seeing Zaka going into the power. Gets stunned stupid, says the Claudette. Adding plus 10 wood to the face. Now moving into the TNL. Of course, this is a long wall TNL. Could cause some problems here for Zaka if our Claudette does decide to run it right. However, now instead getting caught out of position. That's a down. We still have about a quarter of our power left in reserve here as we do move forward with hook state number 1, but that is going to be a 3rd gen. We see the sabotage come in. Not sure if our sabotage player might also potentially be running the breakout and be close enough to potentially see. Oh, but we're going to be seeing hook number 1 now coming into the basement. The question though, is Zaka going to be able to turn things around, as we do have, it looks like a 4 gen around the top side of the map, which also has the basement.
Yeah, now starts the tough thing sometimes, right? You do smash through the generators in a really, really impressive speed, and then there's this one moment for the killer when he is able to secure a down in a good location that can really change the things, and that's going to be what we see here. Ivan down, Steve on the hook in the basement. A rescuer close by here needs to pull back because the Oni with power is coming back. But keep in mind, we're talking about 4 stages here. So the currently down survivors being on hook and progressing into struggle phase would already be enough to go for the win for eternity. For eternity, that's a nice mix of both team names here for eternal, and they need another comeback. And this time, not in their minds. This time, straight in the game, in the mid of the game here. And I do feel like that all comes down to the question: can they successfully save from the basement?
Yeah, I think the hard thing being is you're in the basement here. You have not been able to even get a 4th gen complete, as we do see Zaka now popping the power here. Going to have plenty of time. Again, worth mentioning the Lion's Fang here. There's going to be additional time. Now going to be seeing 1 down. I believe we had another survivor in the area. Probably going to be seeing Zaka opt for the slug here, going to be probably trying to protect this hook that is in the basement. And, we got to keep in mind, we've already got some of these resources as far as not only the broken walls out of the way, but even around the main building, we've got quite a few of the pallets down and removed as well. So this basement save going to be tricky, but it needs to get done.
It needs... Oh, and this is another down right here. So this is 3 stages. With Stevie dying on hook in the basement. This is going to be the next one coming in right here. So this is going to be the 4 stages, and then you could just watch the progression here. They're trying with the firecracker, see, and this is why I love watching Eternity, because they are trying their hardest until the very last second. A firecracker being dropped here, so it's never over when Eternity plays, and this is really, really insane. And if they go out of the door with the current stages, they can still go for a replay on the Oni set, though. It is a lot of work done. There's a generator and the end game, but it's still possible.
Yeah, I mean, there's potential being there, but right now it is going to be tough. Oh, and there it is, the down. And as long as you can get this secured, I mean, we know we don't have to worry about anything. Oh, actually going to go for the slug here. And I think trying to see if maybe you can just make sure you really put the exclamation point onto this trial. And honestly, can't blame Zaka, right? I mean, you start off with the very impressive first set. Might as well end it with a very impressive set here. And set number 4 as well. There's going to be the sabotage play coming in behind us here. Not sure if maybe we'll be able to see with the breakout to get close enough to force. No, that is going to be at least the down, but I think the survivor gets off. But you're fighting so much, but it's still going to be a hook stage, and that's your decision there.
That is going to be the decision, but man, how beautiful is Eternity to watch. They are going for a sabotage play together with 2 people. They are throwing the entire gen pressure away just to avoid this final hook stage coming in, because they know this would spell the GG for the grand final. And then they are coming back, taking a hit into delaying the hook stage for another 5 seconds. And at this point, it's not about avoiding this hook stage anymore. It's just about how they are playing and their mindset. And I really, really love Eternity for exactly that. And that's also why we love to watch Eternity. Adri now going down. We do see the teammate close by. Now they are becoming altruistic here. But man, Eternity, absolutely incredible performance. So fun to watch. And yeah, in the background, I just see one of our staff members, Blueberry. You all know her as a caster, saying, for that locker flashlight save, Eternity won in our books. And I think we can a little bit agree on that.
True. And I mean, it's worth mentioning, right, is all the progress that's on this generator up here at the 1 o'clock position. I mean, our survivors were on the cusp of what was already a very tall task. I mean, they were almost there. It's just, unfortunately, known as Zaka Demonsa in the community for a reason, coming out and just having another very, very strong performance here in the grand final.
Yeah, Zaka, we talked about him earlier a bit, right? And after complimenting Eternity so much for their great performance here, mentioning Eternal, first of all, like, doing Eternal things, being super efficient with their game plan, have once again shown us why they are the number one in the competitive events right now, and really stable the number one. That's also important to mention here. But Zake specifically, someone to point out here, because whenever Eternal needs him, he's showing phenomenal performances on the killer side. We have seen him earlier on the play game, taking all the stages in the end game and doing phenomenal performances, and he's a really, really strong player on both sides here. And now they are also memeing here a little bit, so also great to see that they're finishing off the grand final this way.
Yeah, you always love to see when, even at the end, even though there's this decision, the two teams either able to come together, still have a little bit of fun, especially with the no way out having been in play here. So our survivors are kind of stuck at this point for a little bit of time. So Zaka has the ability to kind of do a little bit of a victory lap here. Now going to be getting a third fresh hook. And now with Dwight being somewhere across the map, also going to be a little bit easier to locate with those blood orbs that they are going to be dropping across the way. And I mean, just wow. I mean, you mentioned it, you're right. Like this is why Eternal is kind of seen, I think, across the board as one of the top contenders, if not the top contender team wise right now. Just really, really impressive performance here today.
Yeah, it was a really amazing grand final, and also an insane final to finish on Trovo. Once again here, having Eternal, the best team right now, and then Eternity, a team that is just, first of all, in the top, I would say top 4, top 5. Always placing in... Oh,
No.
I mean, the good thing for him is if his internet crashes, he would still. I was about to say so. The good thing is if he crashes,
he got us. All right. He got us.
He would still win there, because the survivors who just count escaped as of right now together, looping with Francie. But yeah, so especially for the finisher on Trovo, right? Having Eternity here with fighting towards the very, very end. It was a really, really great match, and I don't want to highlight myself, but I predicted a 3-1. I just want to say that.
That's fair, but I think, I feel like I think a lot of us kind of saw the first two sets kind of being the very big influencer. And and then when you come out and then win it in the fashion, especially set number 1, to do it the way that they're able to do it, and then the fashion, and then just be able to carry that momentum over. I mean, yeah, we do see that Eternity was able to fight back, but I mean, I just feel like Eternal was just kind of able to, once they got into the driver's seat, just very much stayed in control. And I think now has kind of put the rest of the comp scene on notice. I feel like, again, of just like, hey, we're the top dogs. This is our house. And until we say otherwise, we're the ones that would need to be beat.
Yeah, Eternal, especially with all their games against Millennium lately, which Eternal has, I think, only taken 1 loss, if I'm not mistaken, and 8 wins or something like this. Especially with this Millennium Eternal that was on for a while now in many orgs. They have shown that they are on top here. Now they face the different opponent, where we said, like, as I need to continue the story, as I messaged you, it's a 3-1 for Eternal, or Eternity wins if they take set number 1 to put the pressure down. So we were still expecting Eternity to pull this. It wouldn't be a big surprise, because Eternity is known for these surprises. So, and now Eternal could prove against another opponent that they are just casually winning a grand final almost, because sometimes they were looking pretty chilled in what they put up here on the table. So really, really impressive here, and therefore congratulations to Eternal, taking home the struggle of survival event here and going out as the winner. Congratulations.